Don Seafood, 4801 Veterans Boulevard in Metairie. It's a Metairie tradition. It's a Louisiana tradition. It's a delicacy after a delicacy after a delicacy. Mouth-watering. You don't want to miss it. Seafood the old-fashioned way in the newly renovated Don Seafood Restaurant, 4801 Veterans, where the holiday parties are still going on and the gift cards are plentiful, and you need to get in on it. And a pleasant good evening to you. Ken Trahan, sportsNOLAtv. Happy New Year, one and all, as we come to you from Don Seafood in Metairie with another edition of sportsNOLAtv. Busy time in sports, from the All-State Sugar Bowl to LSU in the Outback Bowl to the Pelicans in full season to the Saints in the playoffs. And here to break it down, our outstanding panelists, including former New Orleans Saints wide receiver Torrance Small. Torrance, Happy New Year. Good evening, my friend.
Happy New Year, Ken, and Happy New Year to all out there. Looking forward to some great sports coming up. Hey, I had an opportunity to go speak at Oklahoma with Oklahoma this weekend. Great team. They're expecting to beat Alabama. I'm pulling for them. I hope they do. But also, if you want to see a great game tonight, come out and see your Pelicans. No, the halftime show. KGA basketball will be out there playing the team that I coach. Come and support my little team. We'll see you there.
It's inspiring. I'm almost inspired to pick Oklahoma. Not. Brian Ellie Walsh, sportsNOLA.com, writer par excellence, joining us per usual. And Brian, good evening to you.
Kenny, always a pleasure to be here. I'm going to turn over a new leaf this New Year's period. I'm going to be much more brief now, give the floor to you guys.
That's a first.
How about that? Happy New Year.
The show just improved incrementally. Remarkable. It's good to have Brian with us, as always, regardless of what he says. And fresh off of inspiring an audience of 600 or 700, including Oklahoma and Alabama players, at the All-State Sugar Bowl FCA breakfast this morning, our good friend and Pro Football Hall of Famer, Ricky Jackson. Ricky.
And I'll tell you what, Brian, you're going to give up on a new lease because you got Atlanta Falcon color on. They got this red, he got this red and black on. He know he ain't got much to say today anyhow.
That's why we don't have home Atlanta gave the game up
They sure did.
They really took care of business, didn't they?
Oh, Lord.
Shotgun snap, baby. Work on it. Final week of this season. When we return in just a moment, we'll see a lot of snaps because the Saints had a lot of highlights from their 42-17 win over Tampa Bay. When sportsNOLAtv continues from Don Seafood in Metairie on WHNO. How do you go from 7 wins one year and the worst defense ever to 11 wins the next year and the best defense ever? Simple. You hire Rob Ryan, you get Sean Payton back, and you get better players, and you see the result, and that's why the Saints improved from 7 to 11 wins. Remarkable turnaround for this defense in 2013. Ken Trahan, sportsNOLAtv from Don Seafood in Metairie. And it's time now to break down the Saints' victory over Tampa Bay. And Brian, as you go back and look at this game, there's so many things to point to, but the one number that gets my attention more than any other, the Saints did not turn the football over. And under Sean Payton, when they don't turn the ball over, they're 25-0. 25-0. If you want the surest indicator of a victory, don't turn the ball over, and this team never loses.
And you know what else, Kenny? It's become so crystal clear. If they're playing at home this year, it's the same kind of denomination. They just play so much better at home, but you're absolutely right. Protect the ball, secure the ball, and now they need to do that on the road because that's going to be just a big factor when they go on the road to play Philly.
George, one of the things that was noticeable yesterday was Drew Brees had lots of time to throw. He got sacked once, but by and large, he was very well protected. And from his first start to his second start, it's pretty obvious that a young man from a conference you're familiar with, Terron Armstead, improved measurably.
Yes, he definitely had improved. But one thing I can also say, we talked about it earlier. Tampa wasn't coached up very well. They had their ends blasting to the outside, had the deep tackles. Everybody blasting where Drew Brees can step up and make the easy throw. That was coaching. Coaching hasn't been very great for Tampa this year, and it showed they got rid of him. They just got rid of him, but the offensive line did improve. But we're at home, and we always do well at home. I like to see the same protection when we're away from the dome.
Ricky, one guy that the Saints got back, and it really helped him, is Raphael Bush, number 25. He played very well, and with Kenny Vaccaro gone, getting this guy back really helps because he had a couple of plays where he came off the hash mark and made plays toward the sideline, showing great recovery skills and great ground which he covered to make those plays. This guy really helped their team.
Well, what I like about him most, Ken, he'll hit you. And I mean, you know, he tried to get there and put a lick on you. And that's what you're looking for back there, a guy who puts some fear in the receivers and stuff. And that's what he was trying to do. But like Terrence said earlier, Tampa was finished, their bag was piped. I mean, you know, you looked at the game yesterday, they came out and put up a one-quarter fight, and they was finished after that.
Brian, as you look at the way the Saints played on defense, they only got 1 sack. That was late in the game with Junior Gillette. So they didn't really get the pressure that they wanted. The other concern would obviously be the injuries in the secondary. Corey White gives a lot of cushion to everybody he plays against, and it's pretty obvious that he's going to be Exhibit A and a primary target in coverage, along with Roman Harper for the Philadelphia Eagles.
You hit the name that I'd like to talk about is Roman Harper, and having Raphael Bush back helps tremendously in the back end of the secondary. Corey White's going to be picked on everywhere they go. They're going to single him out and go after him. And Roman Harper, the same thing. When he plays in a nickel or dime package, they're going to go after him as well. So, you know, they better be prepared because the Eagles have a great passing game.
And a very good running game, I might add.
Good running game.
Yes. The ball very,
yes.
very well. Torrance, as you look at the Saints offensively in this game against Tampa Bay, obviously we mentioned they protected Brees very well. They ran the ball effectively, not much until later in the game, but effectively. And they threw the ball very well. Again, can this act play on the road? I mean, we've talked about it all year long. They don't have to play like this on the road. They just have to play somewhere in between the way they played on the road and the way they played yesterday.
Well, two things that we alluded to earlier in this segment. We talked about the Saints protecting. They're going to have to protect Drew Brees. And the other thing is not turn the ball over. When they don't turn the ball over, they win ball games. When they protect, we always have an opportunity. If the Saints going to win on the road, the biggest thing for the Saints to win on the road is we have to win up front. Offensively and defensively, if we do that, we give ourselves an opportunity. This offense is built. It's a passing offense. Our runs come later, but we are effective enough to go with the play action, but we are a passing offense, and that is what we are. And we have to go up to Lincoln in Philadelphia, 8 o'clock at night. It's going to be cold. It's going to be frigid up there. Wind coming off that river. It's going to be very cold. What can we do? But the main thing is, what can we do up front?
Let's take a look at some final numbers from the Saints' victory over Tampa Bay. The statistics were pretty telling where the Saints are concerned. 468 total yards, and they could have had a lot more. They frankly just shut it down when it mattered, and they rushed for nearly 100 yards. And again, the big number, no turnovers, and they actually forced one as Keenan Lewis got his 4th interception of the year. Brian, the one stat that stands out, aside from third down conversions, which is huge, is time of possession, which they've won all season long. They've been right at the top of the league this year.
Absolutely, and you know what, Kyrie Robinson got a lot of those rushing yards late in the game and things, but you're right. If this team, and they did a good job converting too and not settling on field goals. Time of possession, ball security, and when you're in the red zone, score. And you take those things on the road, Kenny, and I agree wholeheartedly with you, Dr. Small. When they've suffered on the road, they've lost in the trenches on both sides, and they have got to just at least hold their own and not get knocked off the ball on both sides. Rick?
I'll tell you, I mean, just looking at the Saints yesterday, you know, Coach had a great game plan. He went in with a great game plan for the offense, and anytime the offense can do the things they were doing yesterday, it wakes the defense up, and you can see that it was flying around and having a lot of fun out there yesterday. And Terrence will tell you, whenever the offense clicking or whenever the defense clicking to make the offense click, Same thing yesterday. The offense was clicking. It made those defensive guys want to get back out there and get those guys the ball back because they know Tampa had done packed their bags and ready to go home. So they was trying to hurry up and get that offense the ball back.
4 drives of 80 yards or more for the Saints to score in this game. So this offense was very efficient. And Torrance, one thing that is pretty noticeable, this is the 7th year for Peyton on the job as head coach, excluding last year when he didn't coach. And this is the 4th time he's won 11 games or more. That's pretty significant, and it speaks volumes about the job he's done.
Oh, that is big. Games are hard to come by in the NFL. As you can see, we gave away some games. That's how hard it is. You can give away some games and he's still winning 11 games. That's a great job that he's doing. That is stability, and we're fortunate to have a coach and a quarterback to give us some stability here. Because if you look at elsewhere, those teams that don't have a great quarterback, the coaching part they're not there.
Brian, this is a football team that, as a wild card, is a dangerous team. We've seen 6th seeds get to the Super Bowl and win. We've seen 5th seeds get there. Is this team capable of doing that in your mind?
Ooh, Kenny, I tell you what, I'd like to say yes, unequivocally yes, but they've got to get that gorilla off their back, and that is to win a road game. They haven't done it in franchise history. If they can do that, I think the sky's the limit. If they get past Philadelphia, which is a big if, they're probably going to go play at Seattle then, and that's another game. But look, when they put things together, when they play Saints football, I think they're capable of going on the road and doing it, yeah.
Well, Ryan don't give you a wishy-washy answer. he always gonna try to cover his back. Either they gonna do it or they ain't gonna do it. But my colleague here, he like to cover his back. But I think the Saints can go. I mean, I seen the Giants do it. I mean, it didn't happen before. So we got a great team, great coach. We putting it all together at the end. I think they got a great chance.
Yeah, I think if they win this game, they beat Philly, Saints definitely can go all the way.
All right. Well, there you have it from our guys. We'll take a time out here. When we return in just a moment, we'll take a trip around the NFL to see how we arrived in this playoff scenario as Sports NOLA TV continues from Don's Seafood, where the patrons are enjoying the fried seafood, the steaks, and salads, and more. Our sportsNOLA.com trivia question of the evening. The Saints will meet the Eagles in the NFC wildcard game Saturday night. Besides their jersey number and position, what is the common bond between Saints quarterback Drew Brees and Eagles quarterback Nick Foles? Think about it. There is something else that's pretty significant that you'll want to know about. Unless you already know the answer, then you can stump us and enjoy yourself before we unveil that answer a little bit later in the show. Ken Trahan, Sports NOLA TV, Don's Seafood in Metairie, on Veterans between Clearview and Transcontinental. The NFL regular season is over. 12 teams survive to go on to the tournament, the playoffs, as a result of the results from this past weekend. And as we check out what happened this past weekend, of course, Carolina took care of business. They edged Atlanta 21-20 to win the NFC South and get the bye as the 2nd seed. Cincinnati doubled up Baltimore. The defending champions are out. They gave Joe Flacco all that money. He's an average quarterback. Indianapolis looking pretty good. Routed Jacksonville, and they'll host the Chiefs. The Jets ruined Miami's season. How do you come up short like that at home if you're Miami? Detroit, speaking of coming up short, Minnesota beat them, and Minnesota fired their coach. The Giants win a meaningless game, and Washington fired its coach. Pittsburgh almost got in, and maybe should have, based upon the way things transpired, beat Cleveland, and Cleveland fired their coach. Of course, Houston already fired their coach, and Tennessee's is in trouble, and Tennessee emerged victorious over Houston. San Francisco on a last-second field goal by Dawson beat Arizona. That hurt the Saints. More on that coming up. Chicago and Green Bay, what a game, and the Packers rally. Aaron Rodgers, the real deal. He's back, and they'll host the 49ers in the playoffs. New England, the 2nd seed, they get a bye in the AFC, taking care of Buffalo. Denver, beyond Peyton Manning's record-setting performance over Oakland, they still got their coach for now. San Diego in overtime over Kansas City, although it shouldn't have ended that way. Kansas City got screwed. Seattle over St. Louis, and it was Philadelphia edging Dallas. And all of these results, guys, as you look at it, everything you wanted to happen if you were a Saints fan, none of it happened. Everybody you wanted to win lost. Everybody you wanted to lose won, Brian. That's really the way the day unfolded for the Saints.
Absolutely, and you know, I looked at that Dallas game last night. Again, there's a reason why Dallas has finished 8-8 the last 3 years. And last night, I know Tony Romo wasn't behind center, but Kyle Orton was, and he pulled a Tony Romo with a bad pass, took him out of a potential winning field goal range, and that's why Dallas is sitting home.
Yes.
It really is, and losers are losers for a reason. And you go to the Falcons game, and you mentioned a botched snap there, a ridiculous situation. That can't happen. And the Dallas game, the Kyle Orton throw, just a very bad throw.
Yeah.
And that's what losers do.
Yeah.
They find a way to lose ball games. It's no reason for Atlanta, but they've been losing all year like this. They've been losing games. We shouldn't be surprised, you know, a bad snap. And that was the quarterback fault. That's another guy. You said $100 million? Doesn't deserve $100 million. Deserve to be paid, not $100 million. Ryan, I saw him have multiple mistakes when they blitzed him, and he took the sack, and the offensive line took the blame for it when he should have hit the hot route. He didn't get the hot route, but that's what losing teams do.
He got sacked 9 times. Ricky, what impressed you about what you saw?
Well, I mean, this is looking at Miami. I mean, Miami, you know, got a chance to win and make the playoff and come up there and let the Jets, you know, Jets been playing good football down the stretch, you know, trying to save the coach's job. But just to see the Jets beat Miami like that, that's really was shocking.
And Brian, as you look at that Kansas City, San Diego game, so many places to go with this, but San Diego has an illegal alignment on the field goal attempt that would have won the game for Kansas City. How can you miss that as an official with 7 players to one side of the formation, which is illegal? The rule says 6. They all missed it. Nobody calls it. Suckup missed the field goal. If they call a penalty there, he gets 5 more yards. He's likely going to make that, and the game's over. Chase Daniel distinguished himself very well. And then in overtime, Weddle, to me, is fighting, going forward, making progress. That's a fumble, and that's a touchdown. And Kansas City should have won this game twice over and did not, and that cost Pittsburgh a playoff berth.
I was going to say, that's the upshot of that, is it cost Pittsburgh a chance to get in as a 6th seed. Last night, the Dallas game last night, they blew 15 seconds off that shot off the play clock.
Really hurt
now, they
the
scored on a 4th down play to Dez, but that could have been costly. And you cannot have those kind of mistakes, especially at crunch time.
No excuse for that whatsoever. We want to take a look at the brackets and let Ricky comment on what he's looking at in terms of the playoff brackets, and here we go. NFC playoffs, San Francisco goes to Green Bay. That's a delicious matchup on Sunday, and of course the Saints are at Philadelphia. Ricky, those are 2 pretty good matchups, aren't they?
Yeah, real. I mean, that's football right there. I mean, you're going to get some good hard licks, some hard hitting. I mean, and that's what you're looking for. You're looking for some good old-fashioned football. And that's what those 2 teams going to bring.
I think these are toss-up games, Torrance.
They are. Hey, Green Bay, you have Aaron Rodgers back, and whenever you have Aaron Rodgers, you have an opportunity. Great quarterback. San Francisco is not going to be easy. But one thing, when I'm looking at these teams right here, the one thing that I'm looking at is defense, because you're going to need a defense to win these ball games.
Rodgers extends plays, and that's what really makes him valuable. The Saints have never won a road playoff game. They're 0-5, Brian, and obviously that is something they've got to be able to overcome as we look at the history of the Saints on the road in the playoffs. And Ricky's very familiar with some of these. Torrance knows about these as well from just having been around and understanding the game in 1991. That was when John Fourcade and Steve Walsh were the quarterbacks in Chicago, and obviously they weren't quite good enough. And then, of course, the others. The Vikings game was a divisional championship game. The Saints had nobody left, basically, on offense, so that was expected. The NFC championship game, the Saints really weren't ready for that at that time, on the road in the snow. And, of course, the game that they really blew was the game in Seattle when they were demonstrative favorite and just did not get it done. And then, of course, the 49ers' infamous last-minute drive. So you look at those last 2, Brian, those were games that they could have, maybe should have won.
Absolutely. Good weather, too. Now, they're going to face cold, frigid climate on Saturday night, but these guys have coerced me into taking a stand. I'll take Philadelphia Saturday night.
Oh, man.
All right, speak up.
I think you're making a big mistake, but
There's a difference between courageous and crazy.
Hey,
but you know, I tell you this though, the Saints owe Philadelphia one. I remember when we played Philadelphia, man, we had those guys, and those guys came back and beat us in the Superdome. I mean, so really the Saints owe Philadelphia one.
yeah, that should never have happened either.
Right.
All right, that's one side. Let's take a look at the AFC bracket as we head into the playoffs, and the Kansas City Chiefs face a rematch game in Indianapolis. Colts beat them at Kansas City earlier in the season, and then San Diego gets in the back door, and they go to Cincinnati. Should be tough conditions there. All right, so the Bengals, if Andy Dalton plays well, they're really, really good. If not, Phillip Rivers could have an edge there. And at home, I like Indianapolis over Kansas City. Ryan?
I agree with you. I like Indy at home, and I'll tell you what, Phillip Rivers, there's something special about him this season. I kind of like San Diego on the road.
Well, I mean, you know, San Diego had no business winning the game yesterday. They shouldn't even been there, so I don't like.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't like San Diego at all.
I'm going with the Bengals against San Diego. I think a young team. I think they're right for it. If they don't turn the ball over as much, I think they can do something in the playoffs.
Yeah, I like the Bengals, and I like Indianapolis on that side of things. And ultimately, who do we like to get to the big game? I mean, listen, kind of hard to pick against chalk given the circumstances at this point. I know Von Miller's gone, but hey, I like Denver and Seattle.
Yeah, you know, Kenny, when you look at from a defensive standpoint, you know, they say defense wins championships and stuff. In the AFC, there's not really a dominant defense to speak of. So I like Peyton Manning's chances this year to get to the big one.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right.
I like Tom Brady. I mean, you know, New England got a great shot, but even like looking at Denver, man, you know, you said Von Miller. I mean, I think that the chip block on him was illegal and got him hurt, but I still think Denver got a great defense. I think gonna be out of those two.
All right. We'll take a brief time out here. When we return in just a moment, we will have our hot seat segment and how playoff seeds are determined. Should it be changed? We'll talk about it. And we love talking about Don's Seafood. Oh, the crab. Are you kidding me? Throw some of that seasoning on it, would you? Our sportsNOLA.com trivia question of the evening surrounds opposing quarterbacks. Besides their jersey number and position, what is the common bond between Saints quarterback Drew Brees and Eagles quarterback Nick Foles? This is a pretty good one. Both attended Westlake High School in Austin, Texas. You talk about a great rooting interest. Westlake High School in Austin, Texas has to be thrilled about this matchup of the Saints and the Eagles. Ken Trahan, sportsNOLAtv from Don Seafood on Veterans Boulevard in Metairie. Time now for our hot seat segment where we go over a topic, controversial at times, and debate it vigorously. And our topic today is very simply this: determining seeds for the playoffs. Division champions end up being home teams in the playoffs, even though wild card teams frequently have better records than these defending champions. Is this system good, or should the system be changed to reflect overall records and the best ones getting the home game rather than the division champion? Brian, you're on the hot seat.
Thank you, Dr. Trahan, as always. Very simple. As long as they keep the rules in place, division champions need to be rewarded. End of story. They need to change the rules. Until then,
Change what rules?
how they determine the seedings. In other words, one rule that I've thought about is this, is that after you get past the wild card games, you can reseed. If you've got a better record, you know, as a wild card team than a division champion, let it go. But I think until you change the rules, I think you need to reward division champions and let them continue to host games.
I can agree with that for the fact that I think that within the division, one, it keeps the rivalry going. It keeps the division rivalry going, keeps them fighting. But you can have one division better than the other division, where it's a little bit tougher to win ball games. You might have one division that, you know, it's very easy, and it's easy for them to get home field advantage. You know, it's very easy for them to get home field advantage. So in their division. So I say keep it. I can agree with you.
Yeah.
Not often.
Yeah, it
but
doesn't happen.
it doesn't happen often. You know, you had some crazy moments today, but I agree. I think it should stay the same for us. I just like the competition within the divisions.
Yeah.
Well, I like to see it stay like it is. It's pretty good just like it is. That ain't our problem. Our problem should be making the referees accountable, making the referees better. I think that's more what you should worry about going into a football than the conference. I mean, once you win the conference, once you win, you're supposed to be rewarded where you're at. I mean, if a team didn't win their division, just because they got a good record, they need to be a wild card, and that's what it is. So I think that everybody in champ, they need to stay where they're at, but I think we need to work on the official getting a lot better.
Would you answer the gentleman's question? I think you just kind of went all over the map on that one. All right, I'll tell you what.
First thing he said.
Keep it like it is.
All right, now look, here. Let's go. Hold on.
I said keep it like it is.
All right, here we go.
All right.
Go back 2 years ago. Seattle gets in at 7-9. All right, they host a game. Is that right? And my opinion is, as long as it's within the rules, that's the way the rules dictate, then yeah, they've got to host. Should they have hosted? No, but they won the game too. So it's hard. Had the Saints gone there and taken care of business, it would have been one thing, but they didn't. So
I just don't think you could come second place in your division
Yeah.
and should be rewarded with home field advantage. Mind that your record is better than a divisional winner, but I don't think you should be rewarded. Now the fight is not as much. You know, I think it makes team want to fight a little bit more. I like it the way it is, but I do agree with you. These refs do need to change.
Well, I'll tell you, here's another thing real quick, is that I hope that they don't add to the playoffs. I hope they keep it this.
No. Make 'em
More is not better, always. And
that's-
I think they need to keep it at 12 and not expand it.
Well, that's for college. College, you have hundreds of teams. I think it should be expanded a little bit more than 4 teams. But in the pros, keep everything as is. I think it's great the way it is. I think it's great for rivalry. It makes teams want to fight. Hey, and it gives you a little edge. If you have to go and play away.
But I tell you what, everybody got the same opportunity when they start. You already know the rules, so now you just got to play ball and get in the right position.
There you go.
Yeah.
There it is.
Okay. That's all great. We keep talking about, well, these are the rules, so we're talking about changing the rules. Who's in charge here, and who's in favor of changing the rules? I am. I don't like the way things exist right now. I think it's ridiculous that when Arizona's a 10-6 football team, they're a third-place team, and they're on the outside looking in. The Rams, that's right, the Rams are a last-place team. I think they showed you what they're capable of doing. They just happen to be in the wrong division. You think if they were in a different division, their record might be a little better if they didn't have to play Seattle twice, or San Francisco twice, or Arizona twice? I think so. From the standpoint of teams getting in with a losing record, as Brian alluded to, with Seattle a couple of years ago, no team with a losing record should ever host a playoff game. That's preposterous. It defeats the whole purpose of what you compete for at an entire season. It's foolishness. How does a 7-win team host an 11-win team? The disparity between 7 and 11 in the NFL is ridiculous. It's monumental. We're not talking about baseball in 162 games. We're not talking about basketball in 82 games. We're talking about football and 16 games. You have San Francisco traveling to Green Bay. Does anybody think Green Bay is a better football team than San Francisco? No one. I wouldn't find anyone, with Aaron Rodgers or without him, that would think the Packers are a better football team than San Francisco. Does anyone think that on a neutral field the Saints aren't better than the Eagles? I think the Saints are better than the Eagles, but the Eagles won a division, albeit a lousy division, and the Saints finished second to a really good football team in their division. Therefore, the Saints travel. Is that fair? Well, in this case, it's a 1-game disparity, so it's nothing huge, but again, you have to look at opponents and who you played during the course of the year. How would the Saints have fared if they played Dallas twice? Not once, twice. How would the Saints have fared if they played the New York Giants twice? Not once, or not any time, but twice this year. Saints would have swept those games with ease, and I mean with ease. How about the Washington Redskins? Think the Saints would have swept those guys? I'm quite sure of it. Therefore, their record in all likelihood would have been better because of who they would have been playing. So the bottom line is this. I understand the rules. I'm all for divisional champions being rewarded, but in the case of a team with a losing record, there's no way that a team with a losing record should ever host a playoff game. That's ridiculous. or in faith-based terms, it's sacrilegious. It shouldn't happen, no way, no how, under any circumstances. Otherwise, I understand divisional champions getting home games, but the better teams oftentimes end up playing on the road as a result. We'll take a time out here. When we return, the bowl season is deep into our midst, and we'll talk about some big ones coming up when we return on sportsNOLAtv from Don's Seafood, where the food's coming out and the people can't wait. And that's why. Are you kidding me? It's hot, it's good at Don's. All we ask you to do is sample sportsNOLA.com. That's it. If you do it, we feel pretty confident that you're going to like it, and you'll be back on many occasions to check out everything from the Saints to the Pelicans to LSU to Tulane to high school sports and beyond. Everything you could possibly want, you'll find it at sportsNOLA.com. I'm at Ken Trahan, and it's great to have you with us from Don's Seafood in Metairie, and the bowl season, of course, kicking in full mode now as New Year's Day is about to arrive, and that means the bowl game festival on New Year's Day, which includes the Outback Bowl and the LSU Tigers against the Iowa Hawkeyes at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa. And that's coming up on Wednesday, midday. LSU's first appearance since the late 1980s in Tampa. Iowa beat LSU in Nick Saban's final game as LSU coach, 30-25, and the 2004 Capital One Bowl, which was close by in Orlando. Okay, so you get this matchup, Kirk Ferentz against Les Miles. Brian, who do you like and why?
I like LSU to become the second team from Southeast Louisiana to win at Raymond James Stadium. And I'll tell you what, the reason I'm going to be watching this game is not because of LSU and Iowa or anything like that. I just want to see what Jennings can do as a freshman as they go forward. That's really my main interest in watching that game.
I'm with you on that. I want to see what the future holds for LSU. That's what I want to see. And hopefully they can get Leonard Fournette down there to help out of Jennings. But I want to see what the future holds for LSU.
Rick?
Well, I mean, it's going to be a great game because, I mean, Iowa going to come to play it. I don't know what the quarterback going to do, just like Brian and Terrence saying. But, I mean, even like Terrence saying Fournette, I mean, I know that LSU have Hilliard and have a whole lot of bikes, man. So, you know, you don't know how you're going to play them guys. So my thing is, I like LSU in the game.
Well, I think there's a real good chance LSU gets Fournette. We'll find out, though. A lot of guys are going to be announcing their decisions here within the next week, and we'll know a lot. It could be a bonanza for LSU by the time it's over with. And in the game itself, I do like LSU. I think their backs will be fresh. I think you'll see fresh legs from Jeremy Hill, Terrence McGee. And if they run the ball well, they win the game. It's that simple, and they don't have to put it on Jennings to make plays. Plus, Beckham will be healthier, too. That's going to help LSU after he's been struggling physically. And Jarvis Landry's a beast. I like the Tigers to win the game. Of course, the following evening, it's the 80th All-State Sugar Bowl in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. What a matchup of great football powers. Ironically, the first time they've ever met in an All-State Sugar Bowl, Oklahoma and Alabama, the national titles speak volumes. Only Notre Dame is wedged between the two in terms of the number of titles, Brian. You couldn't get two more storied programs, and as a result, you'll get a full house for the only other bowl game other than the BCS National Championship game.
Two great national powers going at it, and you know, the line has moved up considerably in Alabama's favor. I'm doing a draft story for The Advocate and talking about just the disparity in talent. To me, this is one of Bob Stoops' best coaching jobs of his career, because the talent level at Oklahoma and Alabama is like this.
Why you look at me when you say that?
Because I know
Because
you
you spoke to Oklahoma.
Because you spoke to Oklahoma.
Exactly. I went to speak at Oklahoma. I'm going with Oklahoma. A couple years ago, I had the opportunity to speak when Ohio State was down here. They played Arkansas in the Sugar Bowl. Who won that game? Who won that game?
Who was supposed to win that game?
Who won that game?
The team that was supposed to win.
Who won the game?
Okay,
What
so
are you
you're one for
saying?
one. All right.
Well, the moral of the story is, when I go to places in league,
here we
they
go.
are blessed.
All right, Ricky, bail him out, man.
I tell you what, we got the #1 team in the country. I mean, even though they didn't win the ball game, I feel like we got the #1 team in the Sugar Bowl in the country is Alabama. And plus, over the last 5 years, you know, they average out to #1 team. So we got a great team here. I think they're a little better than Oklahoma. Oklahoma plays some great football this year, but I get Alabama a 7-point edge.
Well, I think they're more than that. I give them 2-3 touchdowns for sure over Oklahoma. I think they win the game easily because Alabama's going to show up and play. Listen, they beat LSU in the BCS title game here, and obviously that game meant everything. But the last time they were here in a Sugar Bowl game against Utah, Alabama didn't show up, and they got whipped 31-17. I am 100% sure that Nick Saban has used that leading up to this game in a big way. It's all about motivation and getting over that emotional loss to Auburn. I think they will. Plus, the added motivation, Bob Stoops with his stupid comments on a continual basis about the SEC. You talk about drawing undue attention to yourself and then having to face the best team in the SEC? Not very smart. And I do think Nick Saban has made that very clear to his players about the comments that Stoops has made continuously. Not once, not twice, as LeBron James says, maybe not 7 times, but why would you say these things about the SEC? Oh, the bottom half's not any good. It's only about 1 or 2 teams. Really? 5 different SEC teams have won BCS national championships since this whole process started in 1998. 5. Oh, by the way, as you know, the SEC has won 7 straight national championships. So I think Stoops' comments are going to cause him to stoop pretty low in this game and get beat by at least 2 touchdowns, probably more like 3. Simply my opinion.
Yeah. Well, one thing I have to say about Stoops, I appreciate you offering my son a letter of intent to Oklahoma. No, I'm just joking about that. He did offer my son. My son is only 11 years old, but I did ask him to give my son a
Well, the
letter.
way they're offering these young kids today, it wouldn't surprise me that they offered an 11-year-old. I mean, that's kind of where this is going, Brian.
Maybe that talent level could help them then down the road because they need some help.
Yes, my son said he wants to play basketball.
I think Stoops has done a really good job this year. I
No,
give
he
him a lot of
has.
credit
Yeah, I
for
agree.
what he's done. I really do.
I do too.
No, he's great guy. Great guy. Had an opportunity to sit down and spend a little time with him. Love the team. Love Ken over there. Appreciate you guys for having me over there to
All right.
give an opportunity to speak.
Torrance, always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks for being with us here. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you
My
guys.
friend.
We'll
Happy
take a
New Year
time
to
out
all.
here when we return. Some of the delicious partakings of Don's seafood, such as this, as we talk about them with Joanna Doherty here on sportsNOLAtv. Don's Seafood at 4801 Veterans Boulevard in Metairie between Clearview and Transcontinental. Call 889-1550. Family owned, proud tradition, Cajun cuisine, fresh, delicious Louisiana seafood. Don Landry, you're the man. What a great tradition you started, and it stood the test of time. And Prep Recruiting Insider will stand the test of time as well. New episode resuming Wednesday, January 8th with Ro Brown and Renee Nadeau as we get closer to National Recruiting Signing Day. You'll want to watch. And Ray Brandt presents the John Forcade Show with Mike Detillier Thursday, 6 p.m. And that will be resuming the same week. So keep it here on WHNO to watch some outstanding television. Ken Trahan, sportsNOLAtv from Don's Seafood. And a pleasure to be joined now by my good and great friend, Joanna Doherty of Don's. Happy New Year to you.
Thank you. You too.
Now listen, there's so much we could talk about. It's still the holiday season, still the spirit, and still the gift card specials with
yes.
gumbo to boot if you get those gift cards.
Absolutely. You buy $100 worth of gift cards and you get a free half gallon of our chicken and sausage gumbo. And that's until the 1st. So come on in, feed those people for New Year's Day, you know?
All right, and if you like gumbo, then you probably like oysters. And if you like oysters, you can get oysters. What a heck of a deal.
Yeah.
Half price.
Half
Talk about
price.
that.
Monday nights, it's from 5 to 9 p.m. We do all our raw, all the jacked up oysters and char grilled oysters, and it's half off.
You know, Ricky, did you get my gift card?
Yes.
For Chris, good. Congratulations on getting. I didn't give it to him. I hear now. Look, the crawfish here. You talk about oysters, but the crawfish are second to none.
They're amazing. We don't have them yet. We're waiting until they get at the peak time,
Yeah.
and then we're gonna have them. And we always put them on special on one night of the week, and we're gonna have them soon, hopefully.
Will you let us know?
We will let
Please?
you know. We will
All right.
let you know.
Ricky, you like some of the soup here. I know that, buddy.
I like to come here. I get the shrimp and corn soup, and I mean, that's delicious. I get extra meat in it, and I tell you, man, ain't nothing like it nowhere in the country.
It's pretty good.
You like it.
And he doesn't even use your special seasoning, which I use on
know.
everything. So.
Do you? Yeah,
Oh,
that's good stuff.
You kidding? I like coming here and getting boiled shrimp. And get the boiled
that's great,
shrimp,
too.
at night when the special is there.
That is on Wednesday nights.
As much as
5
you
to
can
9.
possibly eat.
All you can eat
Right.
boiled shrimp from 5 to 9 on Wednesdays.
And there's a special deal every night, though.
Monday through Thursdays, we all have specials. Absolutely. Tuesday nights is going to be a seafood platter night, and the Thursday night is shrimp and catfish night.
And if people haven't been here recently, you need to come and see the renovation, how nice this place is. It's a wide open feeling now, much nicer dining room as we take a look at it. It's wide open, Joanna. It used to be separate from the bar, walled off, had a smaller feeling to it, kind of
Right.
confined. Now it's just a wide open feeling. And the food, well, the food
And
speaks
you
for
can
itself.
watch them making your oysters, just like you see right there. Oh, absolutely.
Man.
Beautiful.
Well, I'll tell you,
Then they got a patio, food court.
you're right about that. And I'll tell you, when the weather gets nice, but we appreciate y'all's hospitality here.
Oh, thank you.
First and
Absolutely.
foremost. Absolutely.
All right, now we're going to find out from the highest authority what's going to happen on Saturday night. Saints or Eagles, Joanna?
From me, Saints, of course.
Okay.
Born and raised here, Saints.
Yeah.
Come on.
How many points did they win by?
Oh, I don't know. I'm going to say it's going to be a high-scoring game.
High-scoring game. Okay. There you have it. From the resident expert, Joanna Doherty. Come to Don's Seafood here on Veterans Boulevard, not only to get a great deal, but to get a great product and a consistent product on a consistent basis. I will attest to that for many, many years as I've been coming to Don's. Joanna, always a pleasure. Happy New Year to you.
Ken.
Bless
Happy
you.
New Year.
And keep up the great work.
Tell
Ricky,
you what, man, a lady know more about football than Brian.
there you go.
Oh, wow. Sorry.
Perfect. Thank you, Rick. Appreciate it, buddy. Brian, Happy New Year to you. Joanna, Happy New Year. And Happy New Year to you. God bless you one and all. Rounding third and heading home. So long.